Hi, and you're very welcome back to Final Whistle League of Ireland podcast here. We've been a little bit quiet in recent weeks, but we're back with a bit of a chat this week with someone who's had a pretty good year by anybody's measure, Brendan Clarke, who is, of course, goalkeeper with Shelbourne, but also chairman of the PFAI. And we're going to be talking specifically really about his upcoming challenge with Conan Byrne, his former St. Pat's teammate. It's the Make-A-Wish Crossbar Challenge, which happens this weekend. We're going to be chatting about all of that sort of stuff in a couple of weeks. You're more used to picking balls off the crossbar maybe than aiming at the crossbar. Brendan, you're very welcome to the show.
Thanks for the welcome, Breifne. Cheers for having us on.
No problem at all. We might start, though, first, I suppose, with the football. 12 months ago, you kind of caused a bit of a shockwave, if the truth be told, when you signed for recently relegated Shelbourne. But 12 months later, league title in the bag, selected in the PFAI Team of the Year, although you're the chairman of that organisation, so we won't accuse you of any bias. You must be delighted with how the last 12 months have gone for you, both in the team and with the club in general.
Yeah, to be honest, looking back, it's 2021 is probably everything I ever wanted from the move. Getting back, enjoying my football, going into training, a smile on my face, where we obviously had a very successful season. We set ourselves the target of winning the division, not just promotion through the playoffs or anything like that, relying on other people's results. Our target was to win the division, and we've done that comfortably enough in the end with 3 games to go. And it was great. Everything about it from start to finish was really good.
Of course, the PFAI Team of the Year at the end. Does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? Because obviously it's a team game, you win and die with the team performance, but how nice of a kind of little bump to your own self-confidence is it at the end of a year to get a little accolade like that?
Yeah, look, it's first and foremost for me, it's about what we do as a group, and that was to win the league. But you know, when you look back in your career and you see you've been voted into the Team of the Year for 2021, and it is just that, you know, the icing on top of the cake kind of really, that kind of really tops off the year. To be voted by the players, you go head to head with week in, week out, is, you know, it's a good feeling. It's nice to be recognised by them, and like I said, it's voted by the players, so it's just nice to get some kind of personal recognition.
Speaking about the players, I suppose you are the chairman of the PFAI. You've about 15 months or so in the role at this stage. How is that going? Because it's been a fairly turbulent year and turbulent time with COVID and all the confusion and the issues that brings, and it brings its own issues for organisations like the PFAI as well. How has that gone for you?
Yeah, no, look, it's been really enjoyable. I suppose you say it's been turbulent enough, but I think a lot of credit goes to all the clubs and everyone involved in getting us back playing when we weren't playing, you know. And players had to, I suppose, make arrangements on wages and stuff to make sure that it was sustainable for everyone. And at the end of the 2020 season, there was not one player left with any money owed. So, in terms of that, it was a pretty big success. In terms of my own role, I suppose my biggest challenge was last week, having to do the chairman's speech at the PFAI Awards, which was a bit of a shock to the system, standing in front of everyone and having to deliver something. But no, look, we got through, and the awards night was a brilliant success. We've only heard positive feedback from anyone who was in attendance, and we're really delighted that we kind of ploughed on and managed to get the night going ahead.
It's funny that someone who plays in front of thousands week in, week out has an issue standing up in front of a room of a couple of hundred. It's kind of interesting to hear you say that. But
you should see me over a 2-foot putt in front of 4 people on a golf course. There's nerves for you.
I'll have to check out with some of your regular playing buddies. I know 1 or 2 of them, so we'll have to have a little conversation. You might be worth taking on the challenge, because I'm terrible. In terms of the, I suppose, talking about shells, just before we leave that topic, there's been a bit of change up in the dugout over the close season. I suppose Ian Morris has left the club and been replaced by arguably one of the best players to ever play for the country. Huge icon, obviously Premier League titles in his back pocket. He's been a success wherever he's gone, really, throughout his entire career. Damien Duff, what kind of a kick does that give to a squad of players, or what's left of a squad of players, really, from Shell's season this year?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the manager, I suppose he's done it all in his own professional career. He's played and scored in World Cups. He's played in Champions Leagues. He's won Premier Leagues. Like, to have someone like that kind of as your leader, as your manager, it's only something to be excited about, you know. And kind of tapping into his experience and his way of thinking and stuff. Again, it's hopefully it's going to be a positive and something which we can take as a group, that when we get the whole group together as a whole, you know, and use that. Yeah, it's just something to be really excited about, to have, like you said, probably we don't tend to have many world-class footballers come from our country. Like, I mean, we've had some great footballers, but when you talk about world-class, I mean, he's right up there. I suppose to have him as your manager, yeah, it's one that's going to lead to great excitement.
Did you know that Damien was there when you signed on for next season, or were you already committed, or was that part of your decision?
Yeah, so my contract would have finished after the UCD game, and then, I mean, one of the stats I used in the chairperson's speech was 75% of players in our league were out of contract, and I was one of them, you know. So I was in discussions with Ian before obviously the club made the decision to part ways, or whatever happened there. It's not for me to kind of speculate on. And then it's just a case of kind of hoping you get a phone call from the manager that he wants you around. And there was a couple of days you're kind of wondering, won't it come? And you're hearing that some players have moved on, and then obviously when it comes, it's one of, you know, it's a relief, I suppose, that you know where you're going to be for 2022. And when you hear the manager say he wants to keep you at the club, it's, you know, again, it's for your self-esteem or for your own confidence. It's a great boost.
Because in terms of I'll go back to maybe mixing your role with the PFAI and then what we're talking about here now, because you look at situations, say like Dundalk or St. Pat's at the moment, where there's a bit of confusion maybe about who the manager is going to be next year. I think the rumour mill is probably close enough to where we're going to end up. It's most likely Stephen O'Donnell's going to end up in Dundalk, and Tim Clancy will be in charge at St. Pat's. But because it hasn't been formally announced as we sit and record this on Thursday morning, does that come into that kind of equation when players are considering where they're going to be next year? Does the uncertainty that's in Dundalk maybe make players make choices not to go there, or to stay away from that kind of turmoil at the moment, or how does that work? Because it's a very tenuous life. Your contract is basically 38 weeks, and then it's kind of, what do you do next?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose coming to the end of the season, let's take Pats for instance. You would have had players who were out. Who were out of contract after the cup final, and I suppose they would have been thinking that they would have been dealing with Stephen. They might have had a good relationship with him, and or whatever, he might have been, I don't know. Speaking about contracts, I don't know the ins and outs, but for a player, you're going from thinking it looks like I'm going to be at St. Pat's next year to, oh God, he's not in charge anymore, he's gone, and there's a new guy coming in. Does he like me? Do you know what I mean? There is that confusion, but I'm sure everything will work itself out in, I suppose, the next few days.
From a player's point of view, though, is that tough to deal with? Like, how important is it who's in the dugout? Like, if you've got maybe it's very rare in this league, but if you have a 2 or 3 year deal and the manager changes, and you're not in favour, like, what are your options? Nobody's going to buy out a contract in this league.
No, that's the thing. I've been through it myself. Only a couple of years ago at St. Pat's, which was, I suppose, well documented at the time. But you just have to sit there and be professional. You have to be ready to play if and when the manager calls you. And I suppose my outlook on it would be that if no one has an excuse to point a finger at you and call you a poor professional, but then, you know, you're doing your job. You know, you're always ready to play. You're always ready, committed to the club on a match night and stuff. And I suppose that's all you can do, but that's football at the end of the day. Managers come in, they don't like players, they don't take the players or whatever, and they move on.
Absolutely. Well, listen, that brings us nicely to this weekend. Yourself and Conan Byrne have decided to, I hope, hop in cars. You're not doing anything crazy like running or walking or cycling around in 3 days. That'll be taking on way too much. What exactly is the Make-A-Wish Crossbar Challenge, and where can people get involved and support?
Yeah, so this idea, myself and Conan, obviously people would have known we've played together for a number of years, kind of at Fingal and then at St. Pat's. But obviously Conan would have been massive into doing his own charity stuff. Kind of obviously first with his Zambian mission stuff, and then even up to last year during the lockdown with the walk he did around the Dublin clubs for the Irish Cancer Society, which was a phenomenal success. I was lucky enough that I was able to kind of help him out in the background and stuff on that. But this one we've been speaking about for a couple of years. And it's only really now that I suppose with the first division ending kind of a month earlier than the Premier Division, and obviously Conan's retired, so he's got a bit of time, that it kind of worked that we could put it on in this off season. So what it is this weekend, I think starting Saturday morning, I think about 8 o'clock we're going to start in Richmond Park, and what we have to do is we're not allowed to leave. What I'll tell people is we're going around the whole League of Ireland grounds, all 20.
Is it 19 or 20? Is Cavatelli on your list?
Yeah, we have a thought on something on what we'll do there. But there will be 20
crossbar from the centre circle of Cavatelli. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, we will have 20 attempts at hitting a crossbar. But we're going around all the League of Ireland grounds over the course of the weekend, and we're not allowed to leave the stadium until we hit the crossbar from the halfway line. Hopefully it'll be done quick enough. I don't know how much use Conan's going to be at it. He keeps banging on about his goal in Dalymount where he scored from the halfway line.
That technically didn't reach the height of the crossbar.
No, it didn't. But Dalymount's a big pitch, so if you take that into account, he's quick enough to tell people about that goal. So hopefully he comes up trumps in a couple of grounds. But yeah, that's it. We'll start in Richmond, Bowls, Shells, go up the M1 to Drogheda, Dundalk, all the way up to Derry, Finn Harps and Sligo on the Saturday. Stay in Sligo on Saturday. Then we come around to Longford, down to Athlone, across to Galway, Treaty United, Cove, Cork, stay in Cork, then work our way back up on the Monday. Is it Waterford, Wexford, Bray, Cabo, UCD, and we finish in Tallaght Stadium on the Monday. So no, it's going to be good. It's going to be a bit of crack. Obviously, it's for a phenomenal cause. Obviously, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I mean, I'm sure everyone kind of knows about it, but the Make-A-Wish Foundation, they grant wishes to children with life-threatening illnesses, which is phenomenal. And myself and Conan, we're both parents of young enough children, and it was just something that resonates with us. I mean, Conan previously, with an ex-teammate of his, seeing the work that kind of Make-A-Wish do for his family and stuff. So it's a really worthwhile cause, and one we're really happy to help out.
I suppose that brings me to the other half of the question. How can people get involved? Obviously, you're looking for their money, but can they actually come along and support you? What are the rules around COVID in that regard?
Yeah, so in terms of times at stadiums, what we'd say is we tell people to follow us on Twitter. We've set up a page there at MAW Crossbar. Excuse me, and we'll be posting regular updates. There, we'd love people to come down, have a bit of crack with us, kind of give us a support, give us a bit of banter, a bit of slagging like we're used to all around the grounds, the bit of stick that we would have got. But it's all for a phenomenal cause. But yeah, if people can't come down, we've got Paul Mladenovich in with us. He works with Galway United on their social media side of things. So all our output that will be on the Twitter page will be of brilliant quality, and it's just something that people can follow us along with.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to be a great weekend, and potentially a fairly tiring one. Trying to hit the crossbar from halfway once is impressive enough. Now, just a technicality, do both of you have to hit it, or will one suffice to get you off the pitch and into the next one?
No, one will do. One will do, because geez, we could be all day there with Conan. We might have to bring it in from the halfway line a little bit.
You mentioned golf earlier. Have you got a per ground private bet on this? Is there a euro a ground or something more significant?
It's something we'll have to speak about. But luckily enough, we've got we've a couple of sponsors on board. My own glove sponsor, Precision, there you go. They've provided us with loads of kit, 20 footballs, all the equipment that we'll need. Precision's parent company, Radon Sports, are going to look after the hotels for us, which is a great help to not have to worry about that. And then through Ronan Finn in go-kart, Shamrock Rovers Ronan Finn in go-kart, they're laying on a car for us as well to travel all around the country. And I think we tallied it up there at, I think, what is it? Just over 1,200 kilometers over the whole weekend. So for go-kart to provide a car for us is phenomenal as well.
Yeah, Ronan Finn, of course, I'm sure a name that'd be familiar to anyone who's following the league as well.
But that's the thing, Breifne, just so the League of Ireland, see, when someone, I've always said the League of Ireland's a huge community. And when someone from within that community goes and does something like this, there's no rivalries. Everyone jumps on board to help, you know. Precision, they couldn't do enough for us. Finner with the car straight away. There was no questions asked. It was, yeah, how can we help? You know, even the support we've had messages from the length and breadth of the country, from Derry to Cork, Galway to Dublin. It's mind blowing. Even up to now, I think we're over €4,500 raised already, and we're still 2 days out from the challenge itself. So the support's been incredible from everyone, and we just hope to keep going and smash that target.
Yeah, you mentioned the Twitter link is MAW Crossbar. Is there a website or a specific place where people can donate online?
Yeah, so we've set up a GoFundMe page. All the information is at Twitter at MAW Crossbar. If people aren't on Twitter, if they go to GoFundMe.com and search Make-A-Wish Crossbar Challenge, it'll come right up there. And like I said, any donation is greatly received, be it small, large, whatever, and every little helps.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Brendan, that kind of sums up what we were hoping to help you share with today. So thank you very much for joining us. The very best of luck. Surviving 3 days in the car with Conan could be the biggest challenge of all. No, it's going to be a great weekend. I think it's going to be a great weekend just to bring all of the 20 clubs in to really drive home a message about how important the kids are to life and our games as well. So congratulations to yourself and Conan and to Paul and everybody involved behind the scenes there as well. Wish you the very best luck. I might catch you somewhere between Sligo and Longford on Sunday morning.
Brilliant. You're more than welcome.